Okay, so you sadistic assholes want me to continue reading this travesty against all that is holy. So, let's jump right into it. Chapter Second Ed 2. Of course, this is The Spiders is. There. I'm one word into this, and already it's like. Fine, whatever. There was a living like that for a while time when they lived together and had some spider sex sometimes, but only when Twilight felt extra sorry for Big Mac. Spidickle was downstairs and crying lots because he didn't know where Twilight went, and Twilight wanted to make Spike feel less ad, but she was a spider and couldn't talk? Twilight's belly got bigger and bigger, and she didn't know what was happening. And then Spider Mac, Red Big, said, I think you might be getting greedy to have spider babies. And Twilight said, What? Ta 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 ta? And Big Mac said, Yup, except for he couldn't actually make that word because he was a spider and doesn't have any pony voice boxes anymore. Twilight was real sad and upset because spider babies were gross and creepy and weird, and she cried and a little bit, but Big Mac Red Spider gave her the biggest moss happy hug ever and said, I always wanted to be a daddy, and even though I didn't want to be a spider daddy, I will try to be the best spider daddy ever and be here for you all the time, and okay? And Twilight felt the most happy, but she was not happy at the same time. Women, am I right? Moving swiftly along. Then one day, Twilight had to lay a spider egg at Gigi's, and it was the most strangest. It felt like bubble wrap bubbles being pooped out. And then she was sad and upset again, but Big Mac Spider was to hear the whole time and made her comfort. He brought her spider food, which was bugs, and Twilight was finally okay with eating bugs, even though she wished she could eat vegetables and mushroom. But with Spider Big Mac's help, she in canoe. She had to eat them bugs to be alive, and being alive was more good than eating bugs was bad. So he did it, and so she did it, and was sad and upset because the bugs were gross. But it was okay. She was a life. But Big Mac Spider helped guard the eggs for many, 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 many days, until one day the eggs were very big and had dark things moving around inside of them, and Twilight knew they were her babies, and she was kind of happy a little bit, and Big Mac was happy because she was happy, and then she was even happier because Big Mac was happy, but they didn't have spider sex because Big Mac knew how much Twilight didn't like that because it felt weird, and also she didn't want to have more babbies. And neither did he really, but he was ready to be the best spider daddy so that Twilight didn't have to worry. After a few more days, the eggs started moving, and they knew that the eggs were going to hatch because Twilight was smart and she knew all about eggs. They watched the egg pile of eggs move around, and they heard little baby spider clicks, and they knew it was baby spiders, and they watched even more munch. The eggs all hatched simultaneously, and vast multitudes of tiny spiders swarmed out in a screeching horde. Twilight and Big Mac started to scuttle away as quickly as they could, but they soon found out that they were in no real danger. The spiderlings had no intention of killing their parents. They witnessed a solid black mass of itchy, screaming death cover every surface of the library. Millions of spiders continued to swarm out of the eggs. The floods seemed to be endless. Okay, I gotta stop here, because that last paragraph was almost comprehensible. It's like when he's writing something really kind of grim, he almost is able to write coherently. It's kind of weird. But I digress. Spike lay curled up in his little dragon bed, moping. Things hadn't been the same since Twi's disappearance, and it had been over a week since he had any decent ideas about what to do about it. He was depressed and miserable. Suddenly he heard a scratching, high-pitched noise coming from upstairs. His curiosity overcame his melancholy, and he plodded up to investigate. He was intercepted by a solid wall of spiderlings pouring down the stairwell, which overwhelmed him almost instantly. excuse me, Spike had just enough presence of mind to scream, but doing so did nothing but allow the swarm of spiders to access his lungs and stomach. The spiderlings drained his fluids for sustenance, and Spike died in horrible terror and agony. End of chapter 2. Um, yeah, that blowed. Um, from this point on is chapter 2 was as far as I got. I got to the end of chapter 2 in this, and then I just could not do it anymore. So after this, we're both going to be sharing a new experience. Yeah, chapter 3 is untreaded waters for me. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.